Welcome back to the Attention Now podcast. We have an awesome guest that was just on recently. I actually have his previous podcast on here. I think it was episode 44, if I remember correctly. So make sure that you listen to this because we're continuing this conversation on what we were talking about a little bit before regarding the government. We have Colonel Tim Schindler, also a doctor, went to many colleges. Tim, if you could just tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll start diving in right into the subjects that we want to talk about. That would be great.
Yeah, thank you. How are you doing, Dave?
I am doing outstanding. Thanks for being back on, by the way.
Appreciate it very much. Like Dave said, I'm a retired Marine colonel. I've got a lot of operational things, of course, like all Marines. And I went back to school. I'm a social engineer, and essentially, what a social engineer is sort of like a chemist or a biologist, except it has to do with humans instead of me building bridges or roads. This is the other side. So we basically, when we talk science, we have two sides. We have what we call the natural sciences, which are things we build to use, and then we have the social sciences, which is about the control of humans. So we have a supply, all the things we make, and we have a demand, the power of control over humans. And so that's what social science is. We don't like to call it that because, obviously in the wrong hands, it's a manipulation tool, but that's exactly what you're being manipulated. And it's probably important enough for you to understand that.
Wow, that's amazing. I think most people don't realize that, Tim, that there is social engineering and that people are trying to control us. But if you're astute enough and you're able to see all the signals, I mean, you and I talked about this a little bit right before we even started. It's like the same play is being done over and over again, right? Uh, we're finding out a lot of different things are happening with like Nick Shirley finding stuff in Minnesota with funds being diverted to the wrong places. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of people have been talking about Israel lately as well. It's kind of ironic when you talk about social engineering. It's like seems like everybody's pointing fingers. Is like with the war? Is it Israel? Who is it? What's happening? But I know that you guys are currently working on a couple other things. If you could dive into that, Tim, and tell us what you guys are currently doing, and let's talk a little bit more about the social engineering as well, please.
I think what I'd like to do is, first off, tell people that just because somebody is saying something is real doesn't mean it's real. It's a perception, and perceptions, real or imagined, are necessary for me to stoke your emotions. And if I can stoke your emotions, I can drive your behavior. And behavior is simply the way that you respond to a situation or a stimulus. So I'm constantly giving you this picture. And if I'm successful at it, I'm going to use things that I know would bother you. Here's a for instance. There's no testing in schools anymore, and your kids don't have to go. Well, I can say that in almost instantaneously, there's going to be an emotional response. Before you even step back and say, wait a minute, he said that there's no more schools, no more testing, and I got the response, the emotions from you before you even had a chance to take a look and make sure what I was telling you was indeed true. And then I start to grab your behavior. Well, we need to march right now, tomorrow, and you're like, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And then finally, hopefully somebody says, wait a minute, who is this guy? Wait a minute, where did that come from? And what you're going to find out is that I'm a professional social agitator. I get paid to move like a fish in the water of ambiguity. I move in between different groups and I just whisper in their ears, hey, you should do this, or hey, you should do that, or what about this, or what about that? So I'm constantly keeping you in a state of agitation, emotional duress. And that's necessary because it lowers your resistance. In other words, it takes a lot for you to say, calm, like panic, is contagious. And if you've ever noticed this, when you're in a heightened sense of emotional distress, all the experts say the same thing. Take 30 seconds, breathe deeply, center yourself, become calm, deal with the situation. But that's not good. For me, I want you to immediately react. I want you to become emotionally unstable, and then I want you to do something that later on you say, I don't even know why I did that. Perfect for instance. Everybody used to fly the Ukraine flag. I mean, everybody. I mean, as a matter of fact, my neighbor used to fly his Ukraine flag, and I had to go over there and tell him, you know, your flag's upside down, right? Oh, well, yeah, but I'm supporting the war. You certainly are. So you should probably turn the flag the right side up.
Right.
Oh, right, because I'm a supporter. So what he was doing was virtue signaling. And in his mind, he actually felt that by not doing anything, he was actually doing something. And there's a lot of science behind that, okay? And that's what we want. We want you to believe you're doing something when in fact you're not.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. So you're telling me people are actually out there putting all this together to control people?
Absolutely, 100%.
Wow.
That's,
I
remember,
think I
there's
think
two.
most people I think most people don't realize that, Tim.
I, I'm keeping this simple because it's important people understand it. Remember, my job is simply to tell you what it is. If you're happy, that's okay. If you're sad, I'm not happy about it, but that's okay. If
Right.
you are angry, I would prefer that you at least understand the facts and then let your emotions drive you to hopefully good, solid understanding. But remember, I'm not, when we want to move masses of people and we want to drive, we want you to not really pay attention. We just want you to let your emotions run wild and your behavior. And this is important. And if you stop to think about it, how many times have you actually said in your life, I was so angry? Oh my God, just so angry that I said something I wish I hadn't. Never happened, right?
Right. Yeah,
Never,
exactly.
ever
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
And then when you step back and look at the situation, you never really considered the fact that maybe somebody did that to you on purpose. Maybe somebody wanted you to be emotionally unstable. Maybe
Right.
they wanted to drive your behavior. Just food for thought. Here, I'll give you a perfect for instance. With all the stuff going on right now, the first thing we should always remember is this: calm, like panic, is contagious. We don't like that. Social engineers don't like people to be calm. Why? Because calm people think. And thinking people are not easy to manipulate. And if I can't manipulate it, can't drive your behavior, and that's kind of the whole purpose of the operation. So, just to let you know, back in 2015, now this is not important per se, but it is. So in 2015, we had what was called Operation Dieselgate. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Operation Dieselgate. Well, what happened was the Volkswagen company had manufactured 11 million diesel engine cars. And they knew they couldn't actually support or meet American emission standards because their cars produced 40 times the acceptable pollutant level. So they said, what are we going to do? And they said, well, let's do what people would never expect. And they said, what, fix it? They said, no, fix it. Make a car that isn't 40 times. No, let's not do that. Let's build a special module that goes into the car so that when they test it, it tells them it's okay. That really happened. I'm
Right.
being
Yeah,
I'm
I
being
remember
dead
that.
serious.
Yeah, I
It's
remember that.
it
Yep.
absolutely happened.
Yep.
And so all the engineers got together and everybody's like, I just don't understand. Every time we test the car, it's great. And finally, one engineer said, you don't think that they actually went out of their way, do you, to build a system that designed and actually failed on purpose? While everybody thought it was going this way, it was actually going that way. You don't think they actually did that when we know for a fact that they did. And yes, they sold 11 million cars, 500,000 came to the United States. They ended up having to pay about $14 billion in penalties. And the president of the company, who was there the whole time, still tried to stay in power. Oh, well, I'm not responsible. So here's the point. If we do not demand people to be accountable, you will be exploited. It's part of human nature. I'm sorry. If we believe that everybody is like you, you're wrong. They're not. And if you believe that people will honestly do what's in the public's best interest, you're wrong. And if you don't believe that people are going to exploit themselves, then you don't understand human nature. Remember, that was the Marxist model. We're going to create
Right.
the perfect Soviet man. We'll remove all the greed, ideology, revenge, and you'll just work from sunup till sundown. And it'll be those according to their abilities to those according to their wills. Well, it's just ridiculous, right? Because people don't operate that way. They have what we refer to as human nature. And of course, our founding fathers said, we will not try to change human nature. We're going to moderate it. And we're going to do that by always oversighting. You want to do something, I'll watch. You watch me, I'll watch you. And together we will bring out the best in mankind. And as a matter of fact, what they said was if men were angels, we wouldn't need a government. Well, we need a government, and men are not angels, so we have to ask ourselves, is there effective oversight? Are we actually watching all these different things? And the answer is no,
No.
we're not. We're literally not. So just like Volkswagen, we have undermined the system. We say one thing, but we're doing something else.
100%. And why are so many people getting exploited nowadays, and why is it accountability not there? What are we missing, Tim?
What you're seeing is a bridge. America is a Christian nation. And as a Christian nation, you had certain attributes that were taught from the day you were born.
Right.
Like you are human. You will make mistakes. You have sin. You must repent. You have to try to be better to be better. And this idea was what built into what we refer to as our moral code. And a moral code is simply what tells you what is right and wrong. It's not a negotiable thing. But see, when you're a social engineer, we don't like morals.
Right.
We don't like moral codes. We like ethical codes. You see? Because an ethical code can be changed. And if I change the ethical code, all I have to do is put in the laws, rules, and regulations, and I can comport the behavior of the group.
Right. 100%.
And that's why you see us moving and we're drifting. We're literally drifting away from the very
Morals.
Judeo-Christian morals that we know are right. I'll give you a perfect for instance. Why it's wrong to kill. Well, except if you're a baby.
Right. Exactly.
And
Right.
if you're over 75 years old. If you're over 75 years old, I believe that we can use euthanasia. It's an ethical decision, and we all agree.
Yeah.
Now,
They're blurring the lines for sure.
yes,
Yes.
and this is what social engineering is all about. Okay? That's why when you say truth to a social engineer, this is what a social engineer will tell you. Truth. Well, we'll tell you what the truth is going to be. We're going to change the truth.
Right.
Today's truth may not quite be true tomorrow, so there are no truths. But you and I both know that there are absolute truths. And if we violate the absolute truths, we were told, the Ten Commandments, we were told that there were absolute truths. They weren't written like, most of the time you shouldn't like covet your neighbor's wife.
Right.
I mean, you really shouldn't, but you can, they weren't written like that. They were written as the moral rules, not ethical rules.
Right.
And
Exactly.
it's pretty clear. So what we're seeing is a base fight between literally what is right and what is ethically acceptable. And as this divide continues to go like this, we are opening up our nation to something it has never, ever faced before. I'll prove it to you. I think that somebody's going to test the water and make sure it's okay. Do you know who it is? No, but I'm confident he'll do his job. I think that when I go and they check the tire pressure for my car for my wife because I have little children, they'll do a good job. Our whole nation is built on this idea. That's why public service is the heart of the nation. The heart of this country is its public service. Therefore, its public servants must protect the public's good. And when the public's good is threatened, sort of like the Volkswagen guys.
Right.
I don't know why they did it, but we know they did it. And it's pretty clear they did it for money. And they weren't overly concerned about the environment. They weren't overly concerned about anything. So we have to ask ourselves, what is the moral and the ethical risk between not properly performing investigation, not properly performing oversight, not holding the government accountable to the people? That was the oath.
Right.
That was the commitment. That's what our founding fathers said. And they said that the price of freedom would be everlasting vigilance, and that it was a part of human nature. We would always have to make sure I will check you, you will check me, and together we will perform. I'm not better than you, you're not better than me, but we all work together. And it is the common good, what we refer to as the public's good, that we protect the public's good. That's all the taxes and all of this. But now we're at a position where people are having trouble understanding what they're seeing. What they're seeing is a Volkswagen delamination, of course.
Right.
Think about it.
Yep.
We have 50 states. There's an inspector general in every one of the 50 states. His job, to oversight the programs and operations of the state. We have an IG in every county. There's 3,143 counties. And then as we go up, we understand that there are federal inspectors general. Now, the argument is this: we all protect the programs and the operations of the federal government, the state government, and the local government with this inspector general. But what if the inspector general went Volkswagen on us?
Right. That's true.
What if we're trying to prove the negative? The reason that the cars can't pass the emissions test is because I built it that way. You don't think that somebody might have perhaps built that system to bring it down, do you?
That's a
I
great
mean,
that's a great
I'm
analogy.
just
I love it.
I'm just asking. We call
Right.
that elegant destruction, and clearly something is wrong. Everybody senses it. Well,
Right. No one's
remember,
being prosecuted for anything. Right.
that's right. And
Yep.
who's supposed to do all the investigations for the prosecutions?
Inspector
The
generals.
inspectors general. And the inspectors general are oversighted by no one. They oversight themselves.
Wow.
So really, quite frankly, what we've done is we violated the very nature of the commitment of our founding fathers, because they were smart enough to know that I'm not better than you, you're not better than me, but together we're better than both of us. And so if we built a system where there's no oversight, it can only be for one reason and one reason only. They
Have our
no
own
longer
agenda
believe.
passed. Right.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, and that's exactly what we're seeing.
Wow. How do you respond when you're seeing everything on the news and they're trying to get you fired up? Like, for example, I could tell you how I responded. Like yesterday, they were talking about no King's Days. Everybody's getting fired up, going out protesting. Someone said, hey, and you just mentioned it a minute ago, when someone's controlling you emotionally, they want you to act a certain way. What's your response when you see stuff like that, so the audience knows uh, how to respond and how to react to that? Obviously, staying calm is one issue or one item.
I think you have to understand exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
First, I'm setting a perception, real or imagined. We don't have kings.
Right.
Okay, of course we don't have kings. So what's that perception really there for? That perception is to drive your emotional state. Because if we don't have a king and I'm saying somebody is a king, why, you're emotionally charged. And so then I say, I want you to get in the street and march. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. Well, that's exactly the model. And that
Right.
model, which was produced by a man by the name of Edward Bernays in 1928, that's
Wow.
that's 1928. That was before you and I were born, actually.
Exactly.
1928. He said, perception, real or imagined, drives emotion. And if I can drive your emotions, I will be able to control your behavior, the way you respond to a situation or stimulus. So, yes. And quite frankly, isn't that what advertising is?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So people are susceptible to this. Now, if I throw on uh, artificial intelligence, shoot, now I can create things that are so unreal that they might even appear to be real. But again, truth, truth.
Right.
I'm trying to remove truth. If there is no truth, then I can control you. So this is a direct attack on the very essential piece of Christianity. I'm sorry, but it is.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
There is no place for Christianity.
And they
In
don't want you, they
Marxism,
want you
there,
to get all excited, not be calm, and not think.
yes. I mean, let's be honest. What was the first thing that they removed in China? I mean, they removed religion. And what is the first thing they removed in under the Marxist system in any country where it's been unsuccessfully tried to be implemented? Is removal of anything that would compete with the human system. That would be God.
Right.
So once I have removed your truth, well, I can make anything happen. Anything's possible. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And I think it's important to remember a godless nation cannot be blessed by God.
Right. Yeah, that's
I mean,
true. Yeah.
and when we are negotiating life, when we're negotiating our poor, when we're negotiating people who are in need, we need to reflect on this and say, is this a godly nation? And is this what we want? And the answer to that, of course, is take care of your brothers and sisters. It's our job. It's our job to take care of each other. This is a blessed nation until it will not be blessed. So if we are a willful people and we will not submit, then the benefits will be removed.
So what do you tell people how to respond when they're getting emotional? Like for the No Kings, just since I saw that yesterday. Instead of going out and protesting, what would you recommend for them to do instead?
Think about why somebody would say that. I mean, it's obvious.
Yes.
If we
Yes.
had a king, why the president wouldn't be worried about Congress
Right,
or
exactly.
public opinion or anything else. He would just say, I'm a king and do it. Now, it sounds interesting. And for people who are easily swayed, and I
Yep.
can capture your emotions easily, well, I can start to drive your behavior. This is a very old formula. I mean, this formula was made in the early 1920s. Remember, in the old left, Marxist old left, it was all about identity politics and unionization.
Okay.
You're going to belong to the union, and we'll have the good guys, the bad guys, the right guys, the left guys, the black guys, the white guys, the red guys, the yellow guys, the Catholics, the Mormons, the Protestants, etc., 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 etc. And finally, somebody came along, a man by the name of Hockheimer, and he said, we have an unlimited number of groups we could use.
Hmm.
And if we could perhaps tie them to something that people could never, ever get past. And he said, like what? He goes, because religion's kind of tough in a way, because you can't always tell what religion somebody is until you talk to them. And if you talk to them, you might like them. And if you like them, you won't do nasty things to them. Well, I don't want
Right.
that. So he said, what kind of things would they use? They said, how about things like color? Oh,
Yep.
yeah. So I'll pit you against each other by things you can't control.
Right.
And the social engineers said, that's great. So if you're an American, yeah, you're from America. So you're this. If you're from, the Soviet Union, you're that. If you're from here, you're there. And so what people need to understand is, do you understand what you're looking at? And if you don't, you need to calm yourself. You need to remember, it's like the yellow brick road. Remember when we talked about Dorothy and she went to this place called Oz?
Right.
Have you ever thought about what that metaphor really means? The metaphor is she was told, you're going to go down this yellow brick road and you're going to see all these horrible things, flying monkeys, crazy stuff, and and you just follow the yellow brick road, follow the yellow brick road, and you're going to get to this place with all knowledge, all understanding, and everything will be great. And she took with her who? A scarecrow, a lion, and a tin man.
Right.
And she's like, hey, what are you guys doing? They go, oh, we're on this journey with you, you know? And so she's like, what do you want, Tin Man? And the Tin Man says, I need a heart. You know, I need a heart. And she said, what about you, Lion? Well, I need courage. And then she looked at the third member and she said, well, what do you need? And he looked at her and he said, I need a brain.
Right.
And she said, a brain, courage, and a heart?
Hmm.
Well, come with me. So the whole metaphor of that story, honestly, is you, me.
Right. Yeah,
It's
that's true.
us. We need a
Right.
brain, we need courage, right? And we need a heart. And on the journey, she found out that it wasn't anything like she thought it was. There was no wise person behind the screen. Her little dog went back there and he's like, hey, I'm just playing a game here. I'm manipulating you. I'm a master manipulator. Got the big screen and I'm telling you all these things. Wicked witches, ducks, I mean, you name it. It's all, I'm doing all of this. So as it turns out, guess what? It's all attack on one thing and one thing only. I don't want you to have a brain. I don't want you to have a heart. I most definitely don't want you to have courage. Because those are the three traits of an individual.
100%. Yeah,
And,
you're
and
right.
if you act like an individual and you say, my favorite founding father, think about this. When people say, who's your favorite founding father? Guess who they never say?
I don't know who.
The most important founding father of all. They never talk about George Mason. Who's George Mason? George Mason was the guy that said, I ain't signing the Constitution. And the reason he said, I'm not signing the Constitution was because it didn't have an individual Bill of Rights. And he said, no kings. Yeah, we're not trading in a king for a new king. Oh no, I ain't into kings. This is what I'm into. I am into individual rights. And as long as people exert their brains, their hearts, and they have courage, why, who knows?
So wait
We
a minute,
can.
Tim. This no kings thing's been going on since the founding fathers, you're telling me? That's
That's it.
impossible.
That's it. And they're playing us, they're manipulating us. But
Oh my gosh.
the reality is this: have courage, have some brains, and who knows?
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
an individual.
And you and I have
This
talked about
nation.
you and I have talked about this before. When the same agenda keeps playing on the network over and over and over again, you're being manipulated, right?
Absolutely. And if you don't believe it, remember, belief is a strong emotional attachment to a mental proposition. That's why, if you listen to some of the greats from our nation, very, very important man, Martin Luther King.
Right.
Martin Luther King said, if you can conceive it and you can believe it, so shall you achieve it.
Achieve it. Yep.
You know what he did? That was the yellow brick road. That was Dorothy. You
Right.
will have the brain, you will have the heart, and you will have the courage. And guess what? You will right the wrongs and you will live to your full potential. You will be the American that our God expects us to be. I
Wow.
think it's great. I think it's terrific.
Out of curiosity, what percentage of the people do you think will get manipulated?
Mathematically, is that what you're asking me?
Yes, yes.
96 to 7%.
Wow, that many. Holy cow.
Yes. There was a time that we used to sell this idea that the human brain is so complicated that we cannot predict what you're going to do. But we now know that people react in one of four ways. I can type it into the computer and I can determine almost instantaneously how do you react. Do you react because of your greed? Do you react because of your ideology? Or do you react because of your revenge? And then I simply put that in there and then I predict how you should act. And I'm going to be assisted by that because you're going to have listening devices in your house. Siri, your refrigerator,
Google. Yep.
Google. And you're going to say and do things that you think nobody else is hearing. Hey, you might even get on the internet and write stuff that you would never, never write to your mother.
Right.
Because your mother would slap you a good one if you did that, right? So you feel a sense of autonomy and you can do and say things that you know are wrong, but you feel liberated because you have no accountability. Now remember, this is very important. You have accountability. Every human being does.
Hmm.
We're accountable to God.
Yes.
That's the problem for social engineers. If you're accountable to God and He's telling you what you should and shouldn't do, well, better yet, will or will not do, that
Right.
makes it difficult for me to drive your behavior because I'm saying go left. And you're like, no, I got to go right. So that's very hard for me. So what I want is to remove it. And that's exactly what our government has done. That's what a technocracy is. A
Right.
technocracy is a group of individuals who have self selected themselves to tell everybody else what they should or shouldn't do. I mean, it's not complicated. Think about it. Voting's too important to be left to the voters.
Right.
It doesn't matter who votes, it only matters who counts the vote. Have you ever stopped to think, why do we even have voting machines?
Yes, exactly. I have actually. Yes.
Huh. Well, the reason we have the voting machines is to control the voters. And the irony is this whole system, ironically, is a reflection of love. And this is a real powerful motivation, a motivator, right? That we manipulate. We love, there is a whole bunch of people in this country that love their country. They really do.
Right.
And they have faith that they're surrounded by other people who have the same level of love. But what if they don't? What if they don't?
Right.
We expect people to do the right thing. Well, what if
What
they're
if they
not?
don't, what if they don't know how to do the right thing? Right. Yeah.
Exactly. What if I take that away from them? What if I teach them from a very young age, trust the state, trust me, don't worry about that. I'll tell you what to do. You know, I think they used to make movies about this stuff. You know,
Yeah,
on this
absolutely.
shoulder,
Yep.
devil, and on this
Devil and the
shoulder,
angel on the other
turn an
side.
angel.
Yep.
You know, and you're saying, he's going, don't do it. And he's, oh yeah, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. Well, this is nothing new. This is what God said. He said, there's nothing new under the sun. So
Right.
we are being manipulated. So if you feel angry or you feel emotionally distressed, just picture that tree of knowledge.
Right.
That's AI. That's
Right.
artificial intelligence. And you're supposed to go over there. You're supposed to pluck an apple off that tree and you're supposed to eat it and you're going to be given all of these tools. And then the next thought that's going to be put into your little brain is, I don't need God anymore
Right.
because now I'm God. And if you think I'm kidding, listen up carefully. And if you doubt me, why don't you take a look and discuss what this people have celebrated this point where humans no longer are as smart as a computer.
Hmm.
Okay? And this point is celebrated. There's literally a group of people who celebrate this point that man is no longer the greatest or smartest animal on the earth. That this IT is going to take over and it'll do all these things, and we'll have freedom. I mean, Karl Marx talked about this, that there would come this age where man would have the gift of leisure. There would be no more work. Labor would be abolished and everything would be great. What? Man
Right.
is to toil. Our job is to work. That's it's
Exactly.
that's what God said. He said you must always work. We must work together. We must take care of our friends, our people we know, people we don't know. And if you're willing to accept anything, then you're ripe for social engineering.
Wow.
Men are women and women are men.
Wow.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's fact. But it's not a fact. And so as we continue to use these manipulation tools, I'm testing the population to see how susceptible they are to suggestion. Can I suggest to you that there's no problem? Oh, there's no problem. Oh, okay. Well, I feel a problem, but no, there's no problem. Everything's fine.
Man, I'm still stuck on how high percentage the manipulation goes. No wonder they're able to control so much. Because I've always scratched my head. It's like, how come people are falling for all this? Right? So you're breaking it down really great. So thank you, Tim.
Yeah, I think this
Wow.
is real science. I think people have got to understand that this is science. This is not some fly by night stuff. These are some seriously smart people that went to work on this.
Yeah, and that's somebody just didn't come up with it last year. I'd say, hey, let's
Oh
try
no.
this. It's been going on for
Oh.
decades and maybe even centuries, well, centuries actually as well, right?
Well, it's called progressive social reconstruction. And progressive social reconstruction is a process in which I literally change the existing structures. Now I can do them violently with wars, or I can do them progressively. And when the new left started here in the United States, which was the point, what they called the Port Huron Statement. That whole point was exactly what happened was a man by the name of Rudy Dusky, a very brilliant social scientist from Germany. His theory was that if you take really smart people and you infestate them into the organization, you can morph it or change it from inside without violence. This is what we call nonviolent resistance.
Okay.
Given enough time, I can literally change the inside of an institution and break it, drop it. And that's exactly what we're saying.
Wow. That's incredible. So what else have you guys been working on? We talked about a little bit what you're doing now. I think it was with the voting. Can you talk a little bit about that, Tim?
Yeah, that's really interesting. People don't really understand what they're seeing. See,
Right.
what happened was when President Wilson, way back when President Wilson, who was the father of the administrative state, he wanted to drive the first major piece of progressive social reconstruction into America. And he had a problem. He had a majority of the House and a majority of the Senate, but he had a very resistive small group of Republican senators who were refusing to allow the votes to come to the floor. And
Okay.
the Senate was just not able to push his stuff through. So he said, I want it done and I want it done now. So he turned to the president of the Senate, right, the vice president, and he said, go get my good buddy, right, who's in charge of the Senate. And he said, oh, you mean the same guy that's from Virginia just like you? Yes. Bring him up here and tell him we want to have a system. So they came up with this system and said, we can stop all of this nonsense. And we're going to need a number. But remember, Alaska and Hawaii were not states. So
Okay.
we didn't have 100 senators. We only had 96.
Got it.
So what he did is he said, well, we just need to set this majority. And as it turned out, they only needed two Republican senators, which is pretty easy to get. And as soon as they got the two Republican senators, no more debate, vote. And that's what they used to drive in the majority. But Wilson was a really brilliant man, especially when it came to admit the administrative state. And he said, yes, but we're going to get a twofer
Okay.
because someday we won't own the Senate and the House.
Exactly.
So we're going to set the numbers so high that they won't be able to pass the legislation.
Wow.
Now, since that time, we've put exceptions in. Things like, well, we have to pass the budget and we don't have the 60. So, they said, okay, you can do that. Well, how about Supreme Court justices? Yeah, we don't need, you can only go on what we call just straight vote, 50,
Hmm.
51 of the 100, right? So they said, we'll let Supreme Court justices get a pass, inspectors general get a pass, and we have to pass the budget, right? But if you want to do something like fix voting, have transparency in voting and make sure that everyone that votes is a U.S. citizen, that's going to require 60 votes just to even discuss it, 60. So here is the president today. He has the majority of the Senate and he has the majority of the House. And the House leader did a great job, 97 days. He brought the legislation directly to the Senate. It sat there for a year. People need to understand that.
Wow.
And the reason that they're so afraid of this legislation is it does two things. It criminalizes people who register people who shouldn't be voting,
Nice.
and it allows individual Americans to sue the government.
Wow.
So
Okay.
they said, oh, we don't want that. That's going to be bad. So they said, let's just sit on it. So here's the irony. So when they passed this, it became Senate Rule 22.
Okay.
Senate Rule 22 is 109 years old. Now, is it time for the Senate to say it's time to fix that rule? Let's get rid of that rule. Let's change the rule. You don't need 60 anymore. But they don't want to do that, you see, because then we would pass sensible voting. So they said,
Wow. So they,
My hands are tied. Now, what's interesting is in 1961, they wrote a book, and the book was entitled Catch 22, the same name as the Senate rule. And the
wow.
idea was that no matter what you did, you couldn't get out of it. And, well, guess what the legislation was? HR 22. HR 22, Catch 22, Senate Rule 22. So if you honestly want to think about this sense of humor that's being applied, these are the manipulative tools that are being used.
Wow.
So I sit there and I say, I can't pass sensible legislation. Why? Because I don't have 60 votes. Okay.
Let's move
Really?
on. Let's move on. Nothing we can do
And let's
about it.
just pretend and let's just pretend it's not happening. But what people don't understand
Man.
is what would a social engineer tell you? He would say, well, just take a look at what the people's behavior's like and then determine is it because of greed, ideology, or revenge. More likely than not, it's greed and somebody's being paid. And that's how it works.
Wow.
A real shocker, right?
Yeah, I think we all know that voting hasn't hasn't been very ethical and done correctly, and it really blows me away that people are fighting that you have to show your driver's license when you're voting, right? When you go buy alcohol, you got to show your driver's license. So they're saying, hey, you know what, liquor is more important than our president. So I don't
And
understand why they're doing that, you know?
that's perfect social engineering, isn't it?
Right,
Well, I'm going to disenfranchise some guy. Oh, wow, that would be bad. Well, who am I disenfranchising? I don't know. Is it real? Am I really disenfranchising anybody? I don't know, but it sounds good, right? And that's all I
right,
need.
right.
Just get me through the next gate so that I can ensure I get the outcome that I've paid for. That's what it is.
When I knew it was really social engineering when they said it's racist to do that, it's like, it's not racist to show a driver's license when you go buy anything else. It's like, what are you talking about, right? So they're working on people's emotions for that, for
You,
sure.
you bet. And these triggers are always going to be good, right? I mean, you know, a classic,
Yeah,
the classic one that we use is a joke, but it's true. Do you still beat your wife?
right, exactly. Yeah,
No. Oh, so you don't beat your wife anymore? No, 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 no. I don't beat my wife. Well, you just said you didn't anymore. So what I'm really doing is, and this is what's referred to in the business, we call this the Xanthos Gambit. Have you ever heard the term?
no,
The Xanthos Gambit is a game, okay? And it's named after a cartoon, but it's really good because what it means is I am going to get you to play so that you can lose. And it's
got
all
it.
about you losing. And the only way you cannot lose is if you don't play. So when we do the Xanthos Gambit, I always win. For instance, oh, all you have to do is vote and everything's going to be okay. But I
Right.
voted and the machines were broken and you guys couldn't even tell me the numbers. Oh, don't be like that. Don't say that. Why are you saying that? Well, because I
We would never
saw.
do that. We would never manipulate that.
I wouldn't pull a Volkswagen on you.
Right, exactly. Yep.
It's just not possible. So I think the reality is this: Americans are good at two things, and they will always be good at two things. One, they know the difference between facts and fertilizer,
Right.
and they always have a good heart. So it's the good heart that I'm manipulating. I'm manipulating you. And so I'm trying to get you to make an argument in your mind that says, oh my gosh, somebody's being disenfranchised and he can't vote. I wouldn't do that. That would be bad. And what I'm not doing is saying, wait a minute, who in America can walk into a library without an ID card and take something?
Exactly. Impossible.
Nobody.
Right.
Nobody. Who drives down the road and doesn't have a license of some sort? Nobody. Well, they might, but then they go to jail for a while and then they get an ID, right?
Right.
So it's a nonsense argument, but what they're playing on is our sense of righteousness. I don't want to have somebody who can't vote. That's bad. So if there are all these people out there that can't vote, that's bad. And I want everyone to have the opportunity to participate in their democratic process. So what am I doing? I'm setting a perception, right?
Yeah, and that makes no sense because most people don't vote anyway.
And I'm driving your emotions
Right.
and I'm getting the behavior I want.
That's amazing.
Don't.
It's like I'm gonna let you play, but you have no your participation, it does not have any kind of outcome, or it's not gonna your participation's not gonna even be counted on the outcome. We're gonna still control it, which is amazing. Holy cow.
And remember,
Wow.
that's what Joseph Stalin said, remember? Doesn't matter
Right.
who votes. Anybody can vote, just matters who counts the vote. So
Man.
I think what's happening is it's sort of this is sort of like the spring, right? We go through a hard winter. Everything looks like it's dead or it's dying or it's in a terrible state, and then all of a sudden, everything blossoms new, and everybody's like, "Wow, this is great! Look, everything's coming back alive." That's America, and this chief executive, this president, is saying, "Hey, yeah, we've done a few things wrong. You know, we're not perfect. We're doing this, we're doing that, but I'm bringing you back, energizing you." And the majority of America is saying, I think that's a great idea. I
Right.
think that if you go to school and we spend more money than the next 13 countries combined, you ought to be able to spell. I know
Exactly.
that's terrible, but that's what we're paying for and that's what we want.
Right.
So I would argue this. If you asked me in a nutshell, what do we need to fix the current state of affairs in the United States? It's public acceptance. When we say public acceptance, the reflection of public acceptance is sense of impunity.
Okay.
If you believe the public will accept it, then I'm going to do it. I'm a Volkswagen guy.
Right. Exactly.
I'm not trying to pick on Volkswagen. I'm just
Right.
saying
Right. Just an
it
example.
happened.
Yeah.
And you know, truth is the ultimate defense. By the way, truth is always the defense. My defense is truth. So I'm saying this: if you want to believe that your nation is bad, and you want to believe that everything that all these people fought for to give us these opportunities, if you want to believe that, you're going to have a hard time convincing me because I don't believe it.
Right. Exactly. That's
I will
true.
never believe it. I don't believe it. I believe that you are attempting to take what's not yours. And you want me to willingly give the fruit of my labor. Does this sound familiar to anybody? And it should. I believe there was a real famous social engineer. He said, those according to their abilities will give everything to those according to their needs. Meaning, you work hard and you give it all away to somebody who doesn't deserve it. And that is not part of the American dream. The
Right.
American dream says that anybody can do anything. And I believe that.
100%. So how do we change all this, Tim?
We refuse to accept what we see. And we recognize this. The key to exploitation is public acceptance. If you do not accept this anymore, then the sense of impunity has to go down.
Right.
Because if I say it's okay to just, steal a little bit, well, guess what? Someone's going to steal a lot.
Right.
So then you have to ask yourself, what would a godly nation say? They would say, don't steal. Thou shalt not steal.
Right.
Well, a social engineer would say, oh, let's don't be so rigid there. Let's just think this way. Let's not steal a lot. You know. Now, it's no mistake. If you think I'm kidding, ask yourself this. What is the most important piece of government? Our government is based upon two pillars. These are the two pillars. One, transparency. We assure transparency via the Freedom of Information Act. And accountability, which is ensured by investigation and prosecution. Well, let's think about this. I've got these two pillars and I'm smashing them. I'm breaking them down. Exactly as Rudy Dusky said, you infestate and procreate and you destroy the pillars. These are the pillars. So Freedom of Information Act, I'm suppressing it. I'm not letting you know what I'm doing in the government. And then second, and most important, investigation and prosecution. I'm removing those two. Is that not exactly what we're seeing?
Right. 100%. Yeah.
Well, welcome to elegant destruction, as taught by Rudy Dusky when he said that you will infestate and procreate, and you shall take the journey, the long march through the institutions, and you will take them without firing a shot.
Yeah. And that's been done in so many different countries as well.
Oh, yes. This is real stuff. This is real, no kidding. You know,
This is big, big picture.
social
Wow.
engineering.
Wow.
So I think right now we have to ask ourselves fundamental questions like this. Why don't I want America to succeed? Why do I have to use a voting machine?
Right.
Why and who said I don't have to help my neighbor? Who said that I have to dislike somebody because you told me to?
Right.
Who said that? And what would one of our founding fathers, the man that had the courage to literally, in a room full of the very leaders who would lead this country, say, I'm not going to sign the document until you protect my individual rights? That's what we're talking about. If you doubt me, when we talk about institutions, we talk about control systems, remember this. If you talk to a dyed-in-the-wool Marxist or you talk to an unbridled capitalist, they'll say one thing, both the same thing. You know what that is?
What's that?
Don't have a place for individuals.
Yeah.
Individuals ain't good. We don't like individuals. We like people who do what we say.
Right.
We like people
We
who
like
behave
a
the way.
group that we could control.
That's it.
That's another thing I was gonna say. You mentioned, different religions, races, and all that. It doesn't matter whether you're, Christian, Catholic, Muslim, Jewish, whatever the case is, brown, black, white, yellow. There's always going to be good people, and there's always going to be bad people in those organizations. So I don't know why they're trying to control a certain religion right now. So which blows my
And
mind.
I think our and I think our I and I think our God said, He said that you shall be judged by your works,
Right,
not your country's works, the works of the stock market, the works of your state or a favorite football team. He said you shall be judged by your work, possessive pronoun on the individual. So I can't get a pass here and say, well, my government's doing that, or the stock market's doing that, or you're doing this, or you're doing that. It's about what am I doing? Me. Am I a good father? Am I a good community leader? Am I doing the very best I can to explain to my fellow brothers and sisters what are they seeing and why they have to be very careful here because they're being manipulated. There is no doubt about it. And if they do not exercise the gift of judgment, the ability to weigh facts and determine which course of action to follow, they will be led. Remember, we've seen this a million times. It's never a question of the sheep. It's always a question of who's going to shear the sheep.
right.
We have
It's separate.
shepherds on the
Yep.
one hand, and we have wolves on the other. So I believe that we are at a moment where we must take action. If we do not get out and talk to our neighbors, talk to our business leaders, talk to everyone we know and say, we want a clean and fair election. We want to be proud in our accomplishments. We want to defend our way of life. We're simply going to lose those things.
But but how do we make sure that the machines aren't going to be manipulated again?
I think they are going to manipulate the machines.
That's what I'm saying, right? So
I think that right
even
now,
though our intentions, our morals, our values is to help America.
we have, for the
that-
first
that-
time, for the first time in our history, Dave, right now, we have a lawsuit before the federal
that's where I was
court
getting to. Yep.
that is literally saying you must stop the weaponization of the government. What we want is the federal government to step up with the number one whistleblower in the nation. That's the president. The president is the one who's calling all this out. We want him to force the DOJ, and the FBI to do their duty, just like they expect us to do our duty.
Right.
We have over 750 whistleblowers that have said we have exercised the First Amendment right to petition our government for redress of grievance and report wrongdoing. Now, this is interesting, the form of reprisal. The way they're reprising against these brave Americans is this: they're collectively ensuring they don't perform their duty.
Oh
That's
man.
reprisal because the action that's being taken because they've exercised their constitutional rights to tell their government there's problems is they simply say, we're not going to do it. We're not going to perform our duty. But for your audience, they need to listen to this. 18 USC, US Code, 18 USC 1346, the
Okay.
number 1346. That's theft of honest services. It's a federal criminal charge. If you are taking a public paycheck and you refuse to perform your duty, it's theft of honest services. And so that means that every single whistleblower, every single one of them that says, hey, this is what's happening, I'm performing my duty, I'm exercising my First Amendment right. Not only is it a First Amendment violation, but more important, it's theft. They are stealing from the American people. So as long as we have public acceptance that says it's okay for its federal, state, and local work of employees to steal, you shouldn't be surprised. There should be no surprise at all. This whole system is built on public acceptance. I personally do not accept the fact that people will steal my tax dollars.
Right.
I think that that's reprehensible. Now, I'm having a little trouble understanding why other people who take a federal paycheck or a state paycheck or a local paycheck don't feel the same, because that's what public service is.
Well, they want to make sure
Public
they
service.
want to make sure they keep their job and don't get fired, right?
I think that this is part of, now remember, Rudy Dusky's policy said this: I will use tools.
Right.
I will use coercion and intimidation.
And you went through that in the past. We talked a little bit about that in the past when you were
Yes.
working for the government, right?
And that's exactly what they were doing to me. They're
Right.
like, I'm like, no, this is absolutely wrong. We cannot perform collective oversight when we're not working together. And ironically, it was USAID, it was the State Department, and the DOD. And they were all working directly for one individual. And he was the chair of the Council of the Inspectors General on Integrity and Efficiency, Michael E. Horowitz. Michael E. Horowitz was tasked by the Congress to perform collaborative oversight to protect our troops and our treasures overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan. My job was to build that collective plan, and I was told, you can't work with anybody. You can't work with the people at USAID. You can't work with the people at the State Department. You will not talk to anyone at the Pentagon. You won't talk to anyone down in Tampa. You won't read the war plans. You won't do these things. To which I said, I can't build you a collaborative interagency plan. And they said, don't worry about it. Just take this list and write it up. And I said, I will not. I will not. The American people deserve better.
100%.
And as a combat soldier, Marine at that, I said, absolutely not. I will not betray my brothers and sisters by doing such a thing. It's wrong, and I won't do it. And I was told, good, then we'll fire you.
What percentage of people do you think would have done what you did?
I like to think a lot, but no.
No, no way.
Remember, you said it yourself, 97%. It just takes the 3%. As a matter of fact, that's irony, because they talk about this. It's always that 3%. It's the 3%. Well, guess what we are? We are the 3%.
Right, exactly.
And the question is this: do I think such things like letting men in women's bathrooms, is that a good idea? No.
No, no.
Sorry. Why? Well, because it defies the very predicates of human nature, and I accept human nature for what it is. So do I have a need to protect young children? Yes. Yeah. Is it my responsibility as an American to protect my brothers and sisters? Yes. Am I going to turn a blind eye to that? No. And here's the irony. There's a lot of people who feel exactly the same as I do, but it's public acceptance. Remember, that's what I'm after. I'm trying to drive your behavior. I don't want you to fight back. I want you to willingly go along with me. I'm going to set brand new ethics
Nice.
and your morals.
Right.
Morals are a problem. Morals are a big problem for me in my business
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely.
people with morals, they refuse to play ball.
Right. That's true.
Say like, thou shalt not place anything before God.
Right.
Thou shalt not kill your neighbors. Thou shalt not covet your neighbor's wife. protect protect those who cannot defend themselves. Take care of the old. Be a good Christian it's so obvious that what they're trying to do is trying to remove our individual responsibility. Why? As George Mason would say, be careful. Because a government that can give you anything is a government that can take away everything.
Yeah, I had a friend that said, "Hey, you know how to live. You learned this back in kindergarten on how to have the right morals, the right values, how to do the right things. But then you get corrupted as you go on. Unfortunately, a lot of people are easily corrupted, whether it's government, business. They give them extra money. They may set them up like we saw all the Epstein stuff going on, right? So, unfortunately, a lot of people that don't have that as their pillar, as we were saying earlier, are fall easily, unfortunately.
I think right now this is what we need to look at. We're having an event in our life. It's going to
Yes.
happen on the 3rd of November, 2026. It is the most important event in our life. Yet there's a whole bunch of people that keep telling us, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. Don't worry. Just go along. Oh no. Oh no. As an individual, it is my responsibility to protect my rights.
Right.
And these are the rights that men and women died to give us. I will say this. There are 3,143 counties in this nation. There are 50 states, and we have a certain amount of time. Right now, we do not lack intellectual capital. I want you to look behind me. Look at this. Look behind me. Look at this. What's missing here are people.
Right.
I need paychecks. I want to operate 24/7, and I want to get the message out to all of the people in the 3,143 counties, 435 congressional districts, and explain to those people this is your time. If you want to believe women are men and men are women and all that, that's just awesome. But here's what I will not sacrifice. I will not sacrifice my individual rights.
Right.
Not for anybody. Because once our individual rights are gone, we will not get them back.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the agenda. They want them all gone. And how do people connect with you to be able to participate and start helping, Tim?
I think what we're doing right now is we're
Oh, oh,
setting up a facility right here in Northern Virginia. It's going to
okay.
operate 24/7, and we're going to have the media people, and we're not going to, advertise every 5 minutes to buy deodorant or tennis shoes and all that. What we want is we want to reach the American public, and God love you if you're a Republican or a Democrat or an undecided, but this is what we want. We want to be able to ensure that you get whatever you need.
Hey, your puppies are alerting you.
Yes, my dogs are. So what we'd like to do, Dave, is we're going to set up, like I said, a facility here that's going to be open to the public. And we're looking for large donations. We're figuring in the neighborhood right now $50 million. And I'm dead serious. I ain't kidding.
Okay.
We don't lack intellectual capital. We don't lack motivation. We don't lack volunteers. But what we do lack is the very crucible. I look
Okay.
at this as our president is having his Lincoln-esque moment right now. And he's saying, I'm willing to stand up and you can slings and spears and everything else. But one of the traits of America that all Americans should respect is the man in the arena. He's standing up and fighting. And I want to join him, just like you, all of us. It's up to us to make that fight. In the next week, we're going to be going out, we're putting our request out to America. We want full up funding. We're going to operate 24/7. We're close to the airport. We're going to operate if you're a senator or a congressman, or you want to be a congressman or a senator, whatever you want. We're going to target everything. 3,143. I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
right.
sorry.
They must have somebody coming in or something. No worries.
Yes.
That's what happens when you're live, right?
So I think that this next week, we think it's going to take about $50 million for us to operate effectively. And
Wow.
we want to operate past the 3rd of November. We want this to be a permanent site for all Americans to come to. This is the grassroots. In other words, if you're from Moline, Illinois, and you happen to visit DC, we want you to be able to come to the facility, look at it, and then explain. We want to do a cameo piece on your potential people who are running for local office, state office, federal office. We do not think that we should leave this in the hands of the RNC Corporation or the
Right.
DNC Corporation, who says that we cannot run our best candidates because they're not millionaires. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's true.
Public
Right.
service is not about being wealthy. Public service is about being willing to give to your neighbor. It's the heart of America, and we want to bring this back.
And is there a name for your organization, Tim?
Yes, it's Bring Back America.
Bring Back America. Perfect.
Yes, and
And God, God.
I think that what we're seeing is the rejuvenation, and we want the young people. We'd like the older folks, the more experienced folks, if you will.
Right.
But this democracy it's important, a representative republic. But we need to make sure that our young kids are given that opportunity,
Right. 100%.
and we'd like to give that to them.
And do you have a website and everything set up for that already?
Yeah, we do. And what I'd like to do is we're in the process of setting it up and getting the rest of the pieces together.
Okay.
And I've got a couple of venture capitalist guys that are going to help us do this. But as soon as we're set up, I'll come back and we'll be ready to do that piece. Remember, the work that we were supposed to do was to basically determine what we were looking at, explain social engineering, help people realize what was happening to them, and explain that piece. Now we've done the PhD for what we call the GED,
Right.
taking it down to the lowest level, because our audience is the American public. It's the American people. It isn't the academia. It's not the wealthy. It's the average American. And I think that if we do this properly, we will be ready to make the engagement piece that's going to make this happen. My job, please, Stacy, my job is to ensure that we can bring together all of the people and just feed them the truth,
Right.
not the social engineered idea of what I want you to be. I'm not interested in developing new ethical standards. I'm interested in returning to the morals.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think we've had enough social engineering, so you just want to present the facts and let them decide which way to go, right?
I think Americans are finally starting to understand that this is very serious business, and it is.
Right,
Our
100%.
nation state is being held hostage to this. We need to help people understand what they're seeing.
Right, I agree. Well, it's always a pleasure to have you on here, Tim. A lot of wealth of information. I love that we're trying to help people and educate them on what's really going on out there. Hopefully, some people will see the light bulb come on. Uh, I know that you mentioned a lot of things. Before we wrap up, if you could close us out with a closing statement or mission, whatever you'd like.
Yeah, don't be afraid. God doesn't make junk.
That's true.
They can run a demoralization operation, which they're effectively trying to do. But I will tell you this: God determines what will and will not happen. Our job, Our job is to toil. God never promised us a convenient journey. He
Right.
just said that we would have a safe landing.
Right.
And it's
And
up
don't
to people like you, Dave. It's up to people like me. It's up to all of us. And you know what? I'm feeling pretty good because God is revealing the truth to us and He's telling us truth, not social engineered perception control, but truth.
right.
So there either is truth or there isn't, Dave.
Yeah. I like the way you put it earlier. Be careful what I'm going to spin it a little. Be careful which tree of knowledge you're listening to, right?
And we are, this is a dangerous situation, because once you go to the tree of knowledge and you're given the gift of knowledge and you start to question whether or not you belong to God, this is not the first time this has happened. And God warns us. He warned us about this. He said, I am the Lord your God. Put no other God before me. And you can worship at the tree of artificial intelligence, and you can do all of these things. But if you defy God, you may not believe. I know you believe, Dave,
Yes.
but I know better. I know better, and I understand. And this nation was built under God, with liberty and
100%.
justice for all.
And to even take it further back, we said this has been going on for decades and 1920s, but even all God's children, this has been going on for centuries, right? So,
It is the fight of good and evil.
right.
And remember, I'll leave you with this one, Dave. I've always liked this. This is what I always liked. What is the greatest trick that Satan ever played on the world?
Giving you what you want, or you could have whatever you want, I think.
Oh, he doesn't exist.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
He
that's true.
absolutely exists.
You're in
And if
control of
you
you're
wish
in control of your own life. Don't worry about it. There's no good or
that's it,
evil out there. Uh,
everything's going to be fine. So,
government's
but that
government's taking care of you.
exactly. And God was very clear on this. He said, I'm the Lord thy God. Put no false God before me. And that's exactly what's being done. So people are being lured into an ideology, greed, and revenge. It's as old as time itself.
Man, that playbook never changes. Holy
No.
cow.
And we're seeing it again. And so right now, people are marching in the streets and they're tearing this down and they're saying the rich are bad. Okay, this guy's good, that guy's bad, using identity politics, all of the tools, right? But the people, we we're like a big boat and we all sink or swim together. And this is the most exciting time in our life right now, Dave. This is an exciting time because guess what? We're going to defeat them not only at the polls, we're going to see the rejuvenation of our nation.
I agree, 100%. I was gonna get wrap up, but I forgot to ask you one question. I want to get your feedback so America and the audience will hear. A lot of people are being very critical of President Trump going to Iran. What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are this: if anyone wants to say that they can hurt you,
Right,
I was trained, sorry, it's like math. I'm sorry, but that's what we have. And we
right,
use a model. This is the model we use. I measure you, okay? When you
mhm,
say you want to do something, I take a look at your intent, I look at your opportunity, and I look at your capacity.
right,
So if you intend to do me harm, the first thing I want to know is, do you have the tools to do it? And then do you have the opportunity to do it? If you have nuclear weapons, or you're soon to have a nuclear weapon, and you're saying, "Well, gee whiz, I think I'd like to create electric power plants because I want people to get cheap energy." I would say, yeah, that's awesome. But if you say that you want to have a nuclear weapon because you want to kill somebody, I would probably take you seriously, and I would say, well, I don't understand why you're thinking like this, right? I do my very best, but if you refuse to accept the norms or the standards that's required in the community of nations and states, then you are an existential threat. I'm sorry, and I'm doing my very best, but after 40 something years, it's time to stop this.
right. Yeah, and yeah, I agree with you 100%.
And remember, the chief executive's job is to protect the homeland. And if he believes that there is another nation that wishes to threaten us or hurt us, isn't it like the economy in a way? If we have a poor economy, doesn't he have to work on the economy? I would argue yes. Does he have to work on bringing industry back to the nation? I would argue yes. Does he have to make sure that our educational system is fixed and we're producing people who can read and write? Probably yes. But if there is a nation state out there that wishes harm on others, I think it's his responsibility to deal with that.
Yeah,
But
no,
then,
I think a lot of people don't know all the information either of what's really happening, right? They have
no.
tidbits and
And I think that we should
the sound bites from the news. But go ahead.
be calm.
Right.
Use your head and be calm. I think that we're not going to engage in another period of reconstruction and development. We're not going to continue to do that, obviously. But a nation that sacrifices its own people publicly for praying, for dancing, for saying, I'd like to wear a dress. I think that is that's repressive and
Little
reprehensible.
over the top and not Christian.
There's nothing Christian about it.
Right.
And to argue that that is some form of religious acceptance, I'm having trouble because God does not make junk. He didn't pick winners and losers. He said everybody was welcome into the kingdom of heaven. So I think I think we should stand behind our leader and give him the tools that he needs, and we'll see. I remember there were a lot of people that didn't want Wilson to go to World War One and World War Two. They didn't want to go to, and a lot of other places. But it's not our job. At least not my job. However, I think that we better pray. We should be prayer warriors. You know,
100%. And
and
I
if
think
we
another
are
thing that
prayer,
was triggering a lot of people is that they were saying that Trump got manipulated from other governments or other people as well.
I don't have a position on that personally. I will
Right.
say this. I have faith that a man is willing to take the slings and spears and try to fix the economy, try to bring back industry, try to improve education. I think that we should give him a chance and we should stand behind the man. If,
Right.
ride the horse, you wear the brand. But if you're a public servant and you're taking a paycheck and you're willing to hurt other public servants for doing their duty, it is unacceptable and it cannot be allowed to continue. That's what I believe. And as long as we have brave Americans who are going to try to protect the public's good by doing their duty, exercising their First Amendment right, petitioning the government to fix a redress like corruption,
Right.
we have got to stand behind our public servants because if we do not, we won't have any.
That's true. Tim, how do people connect with you besides the website that's coming up?
I think that for right now, until we get everything finished, we're moving in a new direction. We are now done with all the planning and all the education and training, and we're moving forward like the facility you see behind me. And we want to see this thing filled. We're gonna with people 24/7. I'll be back with you,
Okay.
and I was told to wait until we get the rest of this done. But we'll
All right.
have that's that part of the Make America Great Again. That piece of our effort, I think, is going to require a whole lot of resources, meaning money.
Right, exactly.
I
Okay.
even feel bad. I feel bad about saying that, but if I had the money, I'd give it to you, but I don't. God didn't give me money. God gave me a brain. And he said, work hard and do these things, public service, which I've always been a public servant. So we will accomplish this day, but I'll get that for you as soon as we have it.
Awesome. Tim, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Wealth of information. I love it. And thank you for being out there trying to help the public as well. Anything else you'd like to say before I close out here?
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. Love it. So thank you for joining us today again. Like I mentioned, thank you for your experience, your leadership. Remember, this is our responsibility to keep America safe, the government accountable, and being able to. One great thing that Tim mentioned today: don't with all the stuff that's going on, don't react. Just be calm and peaceful, and don't fall for what's going on out there. I think so. Make sure you share, follow, and subscribe. These stories need to be heard. These lessons can change lives. Stay focused, stay winning. God bless you, and thank you for tuning in and listening, and make sure you share and follow.
God bless.